because what I realized from a very young age was that a lot of the complications that I have now and that I've seen a lot of people that have been older than me that have sickle cell pass away from and stuff are as a result of the excessive use of a lot of the treatments. So we have blood exchanges now, which it takes the blood away and gives you new blood. Prior to having that, we didn't have access to those machines. So you only could have top-up transfusions. When you receive blood, there's also iron in blood. And your body can sometimes have too much of it. So you have something called iron overload. The iron will attach itself to your organs and various parts of your body and then cause complications.
Because it's quite hard to break down iron, isn't it?
Right.
So.
Now listening to the In My Opinion podcast, the home of edutainment, brought to you by Sakali, DTM, and Uzuma. So get your drinks, snacks, relax, and enjoy.
So what happens when obviously the body rejects the blood? What do they do at that point? Because it's so they have to remove to put a new one in, no?
Yeah. So they when they take your blood and they give you blood, sometimes your body rejects it. So it actually goes through a machine. So it could either make you go into a crisis or I don't know, like fevers,
shakes.
Exactly.
There's kind of like symptoms where you're having like a reaction. So if you're going to have an allergic reaction to something, it's kind of like that, like something's going into your body and your body don't like it. So the reaction might present in different ways. But ultimately what happens is if you've had a serious reaction, your body also produces antibodies against receiving blood. Wow. So it means that you probably can't have that treatment anymore. Which is why there's this call to action for more black people to donate blood, because it is ethnically matched. So everyone in here is probably more likely to have a blood that's a match to me or Ali because we're of the same ethnicity. So, and it's less likely then that we will produce antibodies against it because it's a closer match.
So the fact that your body's rejecting it, just to be clear, is because it's not a match, basically.
It could
it's
be.
Not
it
as
could
be.
It could be many different reasons. So it doesn't just match by blood type. You know, you got A, B, O, and then all of those. But within that, there's different subtypes and different makeups and tiny little things that, you know. So it could just be something in that doesn't, your body,
that's rejecting it. Now, did you get the same transfusion as well every 6 weeks, or what's
I used to. So when I was 13, I had a stroke. And strokes are a very common complication in children that have sickle cell. So any child that's born with sickle cell, they're like 39% more likely to suffer a stroke before the age of 18. And a lot of those strokes can be silent. So they might just present as you're just having a crisis or you're in pain, or maybe you look a bit weary, but meanwhile you're actually having a stroke. Sometimes the symptoms are not the same as a stroke that we know today for like adults. So as a result of having that stroke, I ended up being put on blood transfusions for a number of years. I think like 6 years.
Okay.
I came off the transfusions, but then between then and now, I've had like a number of different exchanges. Usually in emergency situations where it's like, you know, I need an exchange because the crisis is this bad, or, you know, it's life-saving.
Okay.
So,
it doesn't work for you on a 6 weekly basis. That wouldn't work for you, that treatment?
It probably would. I just chose not to. Chose to, when I started college, when I finished college, I just decided that I wanted to see how my body would react without the blood.
Without intervention.
Because I'd been on it from quite a young age. So I came off that and I've tried some other treatments, but now I'm semi-okay. I'd say I'm more on I try and do more of a holistic routine and journey to try and manage my health. Part of that is getting away from the cold in the winters and stuff.
I was going to ask that, what are some of the sort of lifestyle changes you've had to make compared to like normal regular people? Have you guys had to change certain things? Dietary, things like that, staying away from the cold. What does that look like for you?
I think growing up, you kind of have to evaluate. There's so many things that we have to probably think about that anyone healthy wouldn't think about. So even just like traveling, how far is it? What's the weather going to be like? Do they have chairs when you get to the event? Like, there's just so many things that you might analyze, especially if you're not feeling 100%, you can probably agree with me, where sometimes I know I'm not feeling 100, but I just really want to go because I want to live life. So I kind of have to forward think to be like, can I do this? Can I do that? If you're going out, are we getting taxi? Do I have to wait in the rain? Like, there's so many lifestyle things that you think about.
Yeah, and we try our best to, you have to adapt your life around your health now. So, and, you know, think about how is this going to affect me. For me, I try not to stand up long. You know, when I was 25, I'm 36 now. When I was 25, I had a left hip replacement because of my sickle cell. I had a lack of blood flowing to my hip. It's called something called a vascular necrosis, and that's where you have a lack of blood flowing to a certain part of your body, especially bones or joints. And my hip started getting stiff, and I was around 23, 24, and I was getting serious hip pains. Went to the doctors, got MRI scan. They told me you got to get a hip replacement. So I was put on a waiting list, and this is very common in people with sickle cell, because obviously of the lack of blood carrying oxygen to parts of your body affects organs, joints, and all that stuff. So a few people that I know are either on waiting lists or have had hip replacements. I know someone that's had 2 hip replacements. When I go to concerts and all that kind of stuff now, I'm like, right, I need to get seated and all of that kind of stuff. And with people who have disabilities such as sickle cell, you can get things like I have an access card, so it allows me to not queue somewhere or get discount when you go to shows and concerts or cinema, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So we always try and encourage people to get hold of these things because we can use it. Yeah.
I was going to say, snap, left hip 25. Same.
You did what? You did
Same thing.
You have the same thing, 25.
Left hip when I was 25 as well.
Wow. And sorry, when it's a hip replacement, as in you get someone else's hip, or do they put metal there? What does that actually mean?
So it's the joint, the joint. So you know, there's a ball. The way I can move my leg around like this is there's a ball there, and it attaches my leg to my to my waist.
Yeah, okay.
So the ball, it's actually the ball that was rotting. So there's not a lot of blood going to it. So they had to basically cut the leg open and take the ball out, which joins the hip, the waist and the leg. And that's what they drill it into a bit of the leg bone.
Sorry.
And then
I think I kind of seen like a diagram of one, but sometimes they put like a metal.
And that's what it is.
That's what they've done. They put like a metal in there.
So I have an interesting time when I go through metal detectors.
All the time, yeah?
Not all the time. Sometimes they don't go off.
There's someone that pulled blows and like, hey, you need to take it.
So when they we need to search you and they're like, fine, and they go through again, I'm like, I gotta be like, I got a hip replacement. But I've never been like, take off your trousers.
Yeah. They've not done
do they
that.
believe you straight away?
Yeah,
you have to
more time they believe.
Have you ever had a bad experience with that?
I haven't yet, and hopefully I don't. But
fingers crossed.
If anything, I'll show you my scar. You know
True.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Have you?
I had
like
one,
you have.
I did. It was awful.
Is it?
Oh no.
I had one bad experience where it was like the lady was just determined to figure out where the metal was. I took off everything metal. Then she's like, it's your hair. It's your hair. She was foreign. I can't remember where it was. She told me it was in my hair, and I was like, I've got metal in my hip. She laughed and said, nonsense.
Wow.
And then there was all it was so, but I think because I was so young and then I just looked so young.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, how you got a hip replacement?
And it was just, but that's the only one time. But now I just say it before, as I'm walking through, I got metal in my hip. So I can't bother to.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
Oh, that is,
What do you think, from you guys, people could do to avoid even... Obviously, a lot of people are trying to have kids and stuff. What do you think people can start to be more? Because I remember growing up in that, because I was born in Nigeria, I remember it was a big thing in our country. And you remember that, we was talking about it was they would even advertise it. I don't know, people go and get tested, make sure your blood type matches so you don't, it was a big thing. It was white. But I feel like here, you don't hear about it at all.
Yeah.
So people just get together, hook up and have kids and, and they're finding out. When the child is born. So what do you think people could do?
I think firstly we need to take on what they're doing in Nigeria. I met someone from Nigeria today. She told me the same thing. She said it's a serious conversation that they have in Nigeria, and millennials are having it, Gen Z are having it because the older generation have passed it down. Over here, I get frustrated in 2024 where I hear, I've got friends that have come to me and said, Ali, my child's got sickle cell. And I'm like in the 80s when my parents came, my mum's got sickle cell, my dad's got the trait. They were not having these conversations in the 80s. So when you have someone who has sickle cell, someone who has the trait, there's a 50% chance of your child having sickle cell. If it's two people that have the trait coming together, there's a 25%, 1 in 4 chance of your child having sickle cell. That's still a lot.
It's still a lot.
So we can't be playing Russian roulette with
Yeah.
And I've had the experience where I've been in hospital. I grew up in a single parent home, got a great relationship with my dad, but my parents were not together. I grew up in a household, I'm my mum's only child, just me and my mum, we both have sickle cell. So I've had to leave my ward to go and visit her in her ward. And since them kind of experiences, you can imagine the mental trauma it will have on me. I always said to myself, I will make sure that I don't pass this on to my children. I've been married for 7 years now. I have 2 girls. They're 2 and 3. Thank you. And when I met my wife, I made sure it's a conversation that I have, and I let her know that I have sickle cell. I asked her what her genotype was. She told me she was AA. I said, I believe you, but I can't just.
We need it on paper.
Come, let's be going to the GP. We went. We told her them situation. She got a blood test appointment, and I saw the paper where it said genotype AA, and I said, "Cool, we can get married now."
Oh wow!
And so you see with that, do you have to check for it, or say I might go just have a blood test, I might be having something they want to check for. Do they have to check specifically for that?
Yes.
So they can't just...
So you can't just go...
Yeah.
If you got a doctor's appointment and you've gone for something else, they give you a blood test, they won't search for, does this person have the sickle cell trait? You have to go and ask for a genotype test.
Okay. So
and they're going to ask you for a reason why as well. They're going to ask you why.
And that's the conversation we need to be having now, because people are messaging me and saying, Ali, I've gone to my GP and they don't want to give me...
They don't want to give it. Yeah, that's right. I've experienced
Unfortunately, you either have to say, I'm getting married and my partner's got AS, or I'm about to have a child, or like my wife said, I want to marry this guy, he's got SS, I need to know my genotype.
Right.
We're having conversations with the NHS about this. The same way, if I was to have an STI, I don't, guys. Yeah.
No.
But if I was to
Married man.
we don't believe you. We need
to see the paperwork.
But I can go into a clinic and say, I think I have an STI. Cool, let's check
Questions
you out.
asked. Yeah.
Why can't I go to a GP and just say, I need to know my genotype? And it doesn't even have to be because I want kids or I want to get married. I just need to know my genotype.
It's great because they have it on file, don't they?
Exactly.
Especially if you had the blood test, but they've got it on file.
So we can't now be complaining about 2 people that have the trait getting together. Some of them may have been told from young by their parents that they don't have the trait.
They don't have it.
A lot of people find out when they have children, oh, I didn't know I had the trait and my child's got sickle cell now. I didn't know I had the trait. I didn't know my partner's got the trait. You know what I'm saying? So we need to be, we're having these conversations where the NHS need to allow local GPs to just say, right, this person wants to know the genotype. They have every right to, and we need to give that to them.
Yeah, because I'm sure they used to do this thing in Africa.
Yeah,
Like,
because it's big. Because it's big back
I've
home.
never checked my one, but
Right.
I just remember from young that's something like my mum used to mention.
That what?
Like,
No, but you still need to check.
I know. I'm saying
we
but
need to
I
see your
used to just
papers.
hear it.
Yeah.
We don't
But I
believe you.
feel
We
like
need to see your papers.
Back then, they used to have these things on like ID cards and stuff.
Yes.
So say
Yeah,
something
yeah.
happened,
Yeah.
like
They know what
accident,
blood
they need to give you blood or
That's
something.
very important.
Yeah,
We should have that in the UK.
We used to have that back home,
Something
man.
like
Yeah.
that. Okay.
We should have
It's
that.
like-
It should be in our passports. We
Exactly.
should have that.
And I feel like it's maybe again like with here because it's something that's not so common.
Yeah.
Like they put it down at
Don't
the bottom of the
prioritize,
list
yeah.
of like, do
That's
you know what I mean?
crazy.
So
Yeah,
that's
it
what
is
it is.
That's when you also think about some of the treatment that a lot of sickle cell patients get in hospital because it's something that doesn't affect mostly a wider scale compared to a leukemia or a cancer. You look at things like the treatment of sickle cell, the funding that goes into it, people going to hospital and getting bad experiences with nurses and doctors. It's a hidden pain, it's a hidden chronic illness. So I could be having a crisis right now. The only pain you would see is for my facial expressions. So imagine me going into hospital saying I'm in pain, I've got tears running down my eyes, I'm in agony, and I'm asking for morphine. Well, we can't see anything. I've had times where I've been in hospital and the nurse has taken an hour to come see me, and my wife's complaining, and she's like, "Well, the guy's he's not bleeding, so it's not an emergency." but I'm in pain. I'm in agony.
So you would think by now, obviously they've got your record. They know that you've got sickle cell, and you think there's an understanding of like, we need to take extra care. We need to, you know, and you don't get that.
We're getting there now. So now there's cards. I don't know if you have the black card. It says, I have sickle cell.
Right.
I need to be seen in A&E within 30 minutes.
Wow.
Because a lot of us have had good and not so great experiences when it comes to the medical system and the NHS. And bless the NHS, man. Like, honestly, we get free healthcare here, which is a blessing. And I don't think we understand how much of a blessing that is. When I speak to people who have sickle cell in Nigeria, in America, in Africa, and you hear stories of how much they have to pay for healthcare, and here we get it for free, it's a blessing. But unfortunately, there are some downsides that need to be improved.
Oh, but what's some of your experiences been like?
In the NHS
hospital, treatments.
We have a love-hate relationship.
yeah.
But similar to what Ali's saying, sometimes you go in, it's like they need to physically see you're in pain for them to react. And because it's an invisible condition, like, you can't always do that. And I think as people living with sickle cell, we try and find ways to cope with our pain or manage our pain.
Yeah.
So it's very different to, like, say, like in the children's hospital, I would say, if anyone in here sees a child in pain, you have an immediate response to, you know, care for that child and make sure they're okay. But the minute you just become an adult and then you add on to that, you're black, you're female or male or whatever, you just become angry or whatever it is. Like, if anyone is in pain, your mood changes, your vibe changes. Yeah. So we try and do the best that we can in terms of trying to be calm, trying not to be so... Even me, I'd be like, I'll try not to be so aggressive. I've gone as far as dressed a certain way when I go into A&E because I don't want to be prejudged by the way I look. Yeah. And that is something, like, I remember having a big debate about it with my mum. I was like, I'm in pain and da-da-da. And she was like, unfortunately, this is how, like, I just want to pull up in my tracksuit and just, I'm probably going to look more like a
hood rat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
Those are some of the things that I would take just to ensure and hope and pray that I'm going to get good treatment. And even then, it's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed.
Yeah. No. And I think that's what we have to fight against, is the biasness, the unconscious biasness. And unfortunately, the systematic racism when it comes towards the treatment of sickle cell patients. The same way you have to dress a certain way. I'm a black man who weighs over 100 kg. Yeah. If I go to hospital screaming my lungs out, or screaming my voice or whatever it is, nurses will be more intimidated. So they will want to back away from me more than actually come towards me to help. So I have to suppress my pain, suppress how much I really feel. And there's a question that doctors and nurses always ask is, between 1 to 10, can you tell me your pain score? And my pain
score... I'm about to strangle you right now.
My pain score's at a 25. But I'm having to tell you, it's at a 7 or 8 at the moment, or it's at a 10. But really, I want to scream down the place. Yeah. So that's another thing, man.
That's sad. That's too many variables for someone in pain to have to think about. Yeah. You want to go to A&E, but you got to change your track. That is crazy.
And then be calm, and then not react, and then...
I just wanted to go back, real quick. So you mentioned what would happen if someone with sickle cell got someone with a trait, and then someone 2 traits. But what is if someone doesn't have sickle cell, doesn't have trait, and they get someone that's trait? What's the outcome of that, or possible outcomes?
There's no. There's a very. I think there's a very, very short or small percentage of them the child having the trait.
Okay.
But there's it's most likely that because you have the AA and the AS, it will lean more towards the A.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then just again, back to, you said you went and did the blood test when you and your wife wanted to get married.
Yeah.
So obviously it all worked out, but what if it had come back that she was, because at that time I feel like it's a bit late.
We have this conversation all the time, and she says it as well, and we agree on this. If it was one day before my wedding, and I found out my wife was a trait, we'd have to part ways. I wouldn't do it.
Not even adopt or something.
fair enough if we make that decision that we don't want to have children.
Yeah,
maybe.
Because also 2 people with the trait can come together, and you can look into things like IVF if that's the route that you want to go down. So there are alternatives.
So with the IVF, you can kind of control what the outcome is.
Yeah.
So you'll take both of the A's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I actually found out that for anyone living with sickle cell, that if you're SS or SC and you have a partner who has the trait and it's both of your first children, there is something available under the NHS where you can actually have IVF to have a child as well.
That's good.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
For free then, no money.
Yeah, but that's why they don't tell you.
Okay, by the way.
But that is
But
that is available.
So,
But it's important to overall know your genotype.
Yes.
Yeah.
We want people to know their
That's-
genotype.
I need to go and find out.
Because not everyone, unfortunately, makes that decision of I'm gonna go through that route. You know.
So, again, only answer if you don't mind, but how do you approach dating then? Do you tell them from the jump that I have, because seeing how serious this is, I'd think I'd want to know from the jump.
Yeah.
To avoid falling in love. Some of us fall in love very quickly, by you know, and then, I'm such a Casanova.
It's starting again.
Yeah?
HR.
Listen, I'm speaking my truth, okay? All right, so, how soon would you advise, or do you have that conversation?
Straight away.
Straight away?
I would say straight away. I always say the 3 questions: what's your 5-year plan? What's your favorite color? What's your genotype?
Okay.
It's important to have these conversations, and especially because our parents were not having these conversations. We need to have these conversations, especially with people our age who are now talking about sickle cell. And you've got things like Supercell now that's in our face, #1 on Netflix.
Yeah,
we can't run away from that conversation,
Yeah.
guys. We're having a conversation in our circles now. People want to know their genotype. People are getting to know their genotype. It's you know, you would want to know if there's like cancer running in people's family, because that's something also that you hear that, oh, their parent had cancer as well, cancer runs in their family, mental health issues run in people's family as well. You would want to know these kind of things. So why not ask about the genotype?
And I think, you know what, Supercell did something very good, which I absolutely loved, in the way that they showed just how common sickle cell trait is. You know, like you realize when one super cell gets next to another one, that's when their powers activate or whatever, and you see them all cross paths. And that's just an example of one part of London. Everyone in this room, how many of us, not us, we know we've got sickle cell, but how many of you guys could have the trait? It's that common and that close. These people, your dad probably had sickle cell, this person's cousin has sickle cell. Like it is that common. So it's so important for us to take that responsibility to find out our genotype, and just whatever you got to say to the NHS to get the test done.
Get it done.
Just get it done.
I got quick. You guys don't have to answer this. It's just something that just popped in my head based off what you were saying. Like, do you guys feel any type of way towards your parents?
That's a great question.
Yes.
Yeah. I had times where I'd have a crisis and I'd be so angry and resent my parents in my time of pain, because I'm thinking, here I am again, I'm in pain. Why did my parents do this? Why did they not have the conversation? But then I think about when I'm in my sober mind, I think about the times in the 80s. How was it back then? There's something I didn't get to experience. People were getting together, you know, not really, probably not having these type of conversations. And even just the knowledge of things. I think my mum's sickle cell didn't really affect her until she came to Europe from Congo.
Wow.
When she was back in Congo, I don't think it was affecting her as much. And that's another thing with the whole sunshine thing that you're saying. Like, when I go to Dubai, I went to Dubai in June. A whole 10 days I was out there. I didn't take a tablet once, and I was walking for 10K, 20K steps, all that. And the sun was just there. I love Dubai, one of my favorite places. The sun just does my body so much good. To the point where I'm like, right, is there any jobs here that I could take and bring my family here? Honestly, and it just does us so. Like, the sun is the best type of medicine for black people in general, not just people with sickle cell. But the resentment thing is it's more common than you think when it comes to a hereditary disease that you think, man, both my parents got together and had me and I have this because of that decision. And again, it makes you want to make a better decision for your children. That's why I'm so serious about it. Like I say with my wife, some people could be shocked. I love my wife. But if I'd found out she had the trait and I knew that I want to have children naturally, I'm gonna have to make that harsh decision and say I'm sorry. Health over love in this term. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't have the same resentment for my parents per se. I feel like I've always viewed sickle cell just as its own entity. So my anger was just more of a why do I have it? Right. Even though I knew why and how scientifically. Yeah. Just more questioning why me as opposed to like. I've got an older brother, he doesn't have it. Right, no one else in my family has it, they have the trait. But like, how can I just be the only one out of all these people that just have this? Why? But I would definitely say that a lot of my resentment sometimes came from the fact that I would get sick and then it's like, you know, in this time of me being in pain and going through all of this, my parents are trying to have a conversation like, you know, well, you could have done this to avoid it. Yeah. He was very busy and, my dad's a Rasta. When I was young, it was always like ital and take this bush and this herb and, you know, you can help yourself. And I feel like sometimes you have to be ready to receive that information. You're not always there. So that anger I guess it would come from that and what they would push onto me. But I appreciate that they were just trying to do their best. Yeah,
it wasn't intentional, but at least you're educating.
Right.
And you spend a lot of your time in Jamaica.
I do.
So how is the healthcare there? Do you ever have a crisis there?
So one thing I will say with me kind of my bi-coastal life, I didn't go to Jamaica for healthcare. I didn't move there because I thought it was going to be better or I was going to receive better treatment. And I think that's one thing that I just always like to make clear because some people have been said some horrible things about, oh, well, you know, why would you go there? The NHS can't be that bad or wait till you get sick in Jamaica or something like that. They don't have an NHS in Jamaica, so the healthcare is not free, you have to pay. Although they perhaps don't have the same amount of resources that we do here in the UK, I would definitely say that the education and understanding from like the doctors and the hematologists who are experienced in sickle cell, second to none. I would trust what they say with my life. Okay. Probably a little bit more than anyone that's from here.
I hear you.
But my main reason for going there was just more for a lifestyle change. Yeah. So I had anticipated that was going to be a long-term plan for a very long time. And I made these conscious decisions to kind of not go back onto blood transfusions or exchanges, to try and come off certain medication that I was taking that had to, you know, I had to be following up with blood tests very frequently because I knew that eventually I wanted to go. And when I did, it was going to have to be, you know, I'm not going to have all of these access to all of these things when I'm over there. So it took years for me to get to that stage where I now don't take anything. I have had a crisis in Jamaica. I didn't take any medication or anything like that. It was more like holistic. I had tea that contains THC. For anyone that is interesting. So I was still, you know, but I got through it. I think it's been more of a mental strength, diet. Of course, the weather and the sun and everything helps as well. And just different things. Like I find exercising or walking, keeping active helps me. But if I have a crisis and I'm here and I wake up and it's raining or it's great, I'm not going nowhere.
Of course.
I'm sitting in the house. I've got the central heating on and those things just don't help anyway. So I try and do other things when I'm there that I'm just able to do.
Oh, okay. Very helpful.
So some of these medications they give, do they like sometimes cause like side effects or?
Absolutely.
100%.
That's why I don't, like, my aim was to not have to take anything. Yeah. Because what I realized from a very young age was that a lot of the complications that I have now and that I've seen a lot of people that have been older than me that have sickle cell pass away from and stuff are as a result of the excessive use of a lot of the treatments. So we have blood exchanges now, which it takes the blood away and gives you new blood. Prior to having that, we didn't have access to those machines. So you only could have top-up transfusions. When you receive blood, there's also iron in blood. and your body can sometimes have too much of it. So you have something called iron overload. The iron will attach itself to your organs and various parts of your body and then cause complications.
It's quite hard to break down iron, isn't
it?
Right.
So then you have to go on a treatment to reduce the amount of iron in your body while still topping it up with blood. So when I was 13, and one of the main reasons why I just didn't want to go back on it was because I was taking the blood, it was helping. Then I was having problems with my knees, with my liver, with my lungs, couple of scans. Oh, you've got iron overload. You need to then take this medication to treat that.
Yeah.
And then they were trying, it's just,
too much.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Painkillers, filters through your kidneys, liver, again, complication. Hydroxycarbamide is what, it can make it infertile. There's just so many different, everything has a side effect.
Yeah. I used to take hydroxycarbamide from the age of about 9 years old, and they introduced it in Belgium before the NHS introduced it. So every 3 months I was going to Belgium for appointments, and I'd get this medicine called hydroxycarbamide or hydroxyurea. And when I met my wife, doctors sat us down and said, if you want to have children, you've got to come off this medication. It's a type of chemo and it affects the reproductive system. So there's something in there that is used for chemo patients, cancer patients. So I had to completely come off it. And that's when I was having crisis back to back. My body was just like, you know, when you come off
it. It was like you're relying on it.
Yeah,
for all these years. And I've come off it and my body's gone into shock. And that's why they introduced me to the exchange transfusion program, because I had to come off that as well.
So when you were on it, you had no crisis?
No, I did. I still did.
Oh, you still did, but it was better.
It was a way of managing it. I personally don't think it was better, to be honest. I was still in and out of hospital a lot whilst I was taking it. So they kept upping my dose. So when I started, when I was about 10, they were saying 1 a day. Then teenager, 2 or 3 a day. When I got to my mid-20s, I was saying 4 a day. So I was taking 4 huge tablets on top of other tablets, folic acid for iron, penicillin, all of that stuff. So there was times where you're taking 7 to 8 tablets a day. You know,
these are strong tablets.
Yeah, they are, and your body reacts to them differently. So I completely agree with Janika, man. Like, if you get to a place where you know holistically you can start treating yourself, you know, there's things like CAN cards for those who have chronic illnesses or any type of illness where, you know, it affects your body. You can get a CAN card, and that's a card where you can legally have medicinal cannabis, or if you're caught with cannabis on you, then because you have the CAN cards, no legal action could be taken against you.
It helps you.
Yeah, if I'm honest, I've tried medicinal cannabis or things like that. It has calmed down my body, but there's some side effects where it's like, whoa, this reminds me of when I used to smoke weed back in the day. It's a bit too much, you know what I'm saying?
Compared to morphine,
exactly.
This is what I
exactly.
Yeah, you have to kind of
Exactly.
see that comparison.
Exactly.
Because for me, I do, as being, you know, spending a lot of time in Jamaica.
As well, I can imagine.
I don't so much smoke because I've had a lot of lung and chest complications, but boiling it and making tea or taking the oil.
Yeah.
My biggest issue was that if I was in pain and I was given morphine or any of the painkillers that I would have, my reactions were throwing up, issues with my liver, anti-itchy. So I just looked like it was just a lot. So for me, I would much rather feel high and not have any symptom. I can go to sleep and wake up and I'm fine the next day, rather than I take the morphine. It also used to reduce my oxygen, so then I would have to go into hospital because I need oxygen. Then I need anti-sickness. Anti-sickness makes me itch. I need something for this. So for me, I'm like, you know, when you get a medication and you read the paper and then there's like, 1 in 1,000 people get this. I'm always the one. I'm the one. I've always
You're
been
the one in those American commercials when they'll come up with the drug and then after
Make
it, they
yeah. That's me.
Fast forward.
T's and C's.
Yeah, T's and C's. So what, is it easy for people who have sickle cell to get this card?
It's new, right?
Yeah, it's very new.
Okay.
It's a CAN card. I've got my wallet.
How can they go and sign up to get one?
If you
enlighten me.
If you just go online and type CAN card, it's I think I paid £29 for the year.
Okay.
And you can actually contact medicinal cannabis medical organizations, and you can pay for either drops or whatever it is, or you can If you source it yourself, then it's fine as well. But
okay.
I've tried CBD oil, so drops that I take under my tongue. That's helped a lot as well. So it's really about finding what works
for you.
Because
100%.
again, sickle cell and chronic illness affects everyone in different ways. So it's really finding what works for you. I just think, just give me a meal, let me go Dubai and chill over there.
That's your cure.
And retire early, bro.
Are you? Is it something you got in the back of your mind where you relocating, even if it's maybe?
I would love to.
Is that what you got your long term?
Just the opportunity to go somewhere where I know that, you know, even like in London, obviously there's bills to pay. Everything's just so fast paced. Having a 9 to 5 is fast paced, and at the moment I have a 9 to 5. On the side, I do things with my own charity to raise awareness about sickle cell. But having a 9 to 5, having to pay bills, look after a family, and having a chronic illness, it's difficult, man.
And how do you guys manage with work? Are work understanding? Are they flexible?
So the good thing is also, with your employer, it's important for them to understand. So I have a great employer. I work for a charity, and they are very understanding when it comes to my health. You can also get help, like access to work is something you can check out if you have a chronic illness, or you can check out access to work, and they can give you things like, I get funding from access to work to get a cab to work. So I get a cab to work during the cold season. I get a cab to work, and they will give you something like, we are giving you 20k or 30k for the year to get a cab to work. Or if you need a table where it needs adjusting because of your back issues, or a chair, we can fund that for you as well.
Good. So it's making really some good headway then.
That's great. That's in the last few years. I've been just advocating for people who have sickle cell or any chronic illness. Find these things where it can help you survive or get around in this difficult life, that can make things just a bit easier for you to
you know, the NHS card you talked about, the 30 minutes thing, is that one that is quite widespread, that everyone should have?
If you ask your doctor, they should be able to give you one.
How about you, work-wise? Are you supported?
I'm self-employed.
Oh, okay. Do you support yourself then? Or give yourself breaks?
I'm supported.
Yeah.
No, I just think that I try and embrace a good work-life balance, I would say. The one thing that I think is really difficult is just that whole, like, if I'm too sick to work or unable to work, that it just doesn't happen, right? There's just nothing. And that used to happen a lot. So again, one of the reasons of me going was so that I could just still do as much as I could. I didn't always have great experiences with work, but I think a lot of that was also down to me not sharing that I had sickle cell. So I would just reinforce that to people, like, just let your employers know what it is, and just try and find what works for you.
What works for you.
She's trying to downplay this. This is an author right here. She has her own book.
Come on.
Called My Friend Jen.
Oh. Plug it. Why are you going to plug the book, please?
Then don't do this. You
She has a book called My Friend Jen. Talks about a little girl that has sickle cell.
Come on.
Please go and get it.
Yes.
It's amazing.
My friend Jen. Definitely.
My friend Jen. I'm everyone's friend, see?
You are my friend.
So, through a time where I just couldn't work, couldn't travel, couldn't do anything, I wrote a book and then tried to get it published, and I was told it was rejected a lot. But one of the things that really irritated me was, there's no need for the book, like we don't really see a need for it. And I just thought, clearly you don't know the stats. But we give thanks because normally I get pure royalties.
Talk about it.
Because I did self-publish the book myself. That was very Jamaican. I did self-publish. Need to go home. I self-published the book through my own publishing company.
Come on.
Helping. So I also help other first-time writers mainly bring their stories to life. So I published the book, and I will say that is very much my bread and butter of how, if I'm too sick, people say I get paid in my sleep. Sometimes they will sell. I'll wake up to emails and things like that. So that's good.
Wake up to a quick 2 mil in the account.
I don't know about mil.
Where did this 2 mil come from?
My God.
Let me go back to sleep.
When you're in this studio, there's still some things we need. Lend us a
Sponsor me.
Lend us a fiver.
A lot of that goes back into like my charity work and stuff like that. But publishing the book then led to me setting up a publishing company, and then I helped other authors. So very much self-employed, self-sustaining. I just kind of every kind of setback led to something else, like a comeback, and then I just made every challenge an opportunity, and it's just worked out.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Very inspiring, man.
Very. I mean, over-inspired.
You haven't allowed sickle cell to just keep you down and not aspire to greatness. So
No, big up you.
No, both of you guys. You got your charity organisation. Well done.
Honestly,
you guys are inspiration, man.
you are an
Well done.
inspiration. Just before we go, then I just wanted to touch on then the cure, or if there is a cure for sickle cell. I have 2 friends of mine that went to India, and I think they got a stem cell transplant, but we had to fundraise for it because it wasn't available in the NHS. Is that an actual cure? Is that something you've considered, and why is that not available to everyone with sickle cell? Why did they have to go to India?
Yeah, so the one of the treatments is a bone marrow transplant. So if you guys remember at the gala, they were talking about you can donate blood, but you could also donate bone marrow. Bone marrow is what produces red blood cells. And for someone to have a bone marrow transplant, they need to find a match. So what they would usually advise is for someone to be under the age of 21 or 18 to receive this bone marrow transplant because your body hasn't fully developed. But it's a dangerous procedure. If it goes wrong, you could lose your life. So they wouldn't advise someone like myself, being 36, to have a bone marrow transplant because my body is fully developed. So they would always advise it to people that are 18 and under, and they will probably speak to their parents and say, would you consider this? But also it's a lot of money. I heard it's something like it's £1 million or something crazy like that for the procedure to be done. I don't know how true that is, but I think I heard about £1 million or $1 million in the States. Here, I'm not too sure. And there's still research being done about that and stem cell transplants as well. So it's a new conversation in the UK. And it's a conversation still going on. Hence why probably people are going to places like India. India, like, they don't play about sickle cell there, boy. Like they're doing, like, they're saying they want to eradicate sickle cell from India in the next few years.
Wow, so it's like priority for
and things like family planning. So before I got married, I had to go to registry office or church or whatever to say we want to get married, and obviously you get questions and all that kind of, they have to read out your banns for 6 weeks. And it's an old school tradition just to see if anyone in the town says, oh, I know Ali's already married, he's got a wife back in Congo and 3 kids over there, he's not legal.
Back in Kinshasa.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So in India, they would ask questions about your genotype, do genotype tests. If they see that there's a potential of you having children with sickle cell, then they will, I don't know if they make it illegal for you to get married, but they will highly discourage it. So they are really trying to knock down on sickle cell and it continuing to be a thing in generations to come.
There's one country in the Middle East, I think it's Bahrain. Well, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Bahrain.
Yeah.
They've actually made it illegal for, like, if you both carry the sickle cell trait, you cannot get married. Like, it's actually illegal because, again, they're trying to eradicate it. Yeah,
I hear that.
With the whole cure thing, so there's I think I'm going to be speaking to your friend soon.
Yeah?
On my own platform. Not personally, but she shares a lot on TikTok about her.
Oh, yes. You know what I'm talking about,
I reached out to her to come and speak to us on our podcast as well, because I have one of these. So, I'm going to be speaking to her. But I think it's interesting. One of the other reasons why they don't do it in the UK is because they say that it's better to have a sibling match. And it all gets very unethical. But there are new treatments, one of them being gene editing, where they essentially can identify the exact gene in sickle cell that is wrong and fix it and then reprogram your body to not have it. It's been approved in America, it's been approved in Europe, it has been approved in the UK only for thalassemia, not yet for sickle cell. Again, under that whole lack of awareness, they don't really see the need for it against the cost. So
we do need to start making more noise about it.
Definitely. I think the more noise we make, even as a collective, as a community, the more these people will see that this is really something serious. And
No, it's definitely important. I'm very inspired, so much so that I went to give blood on Saturday because I couldn't believe at my big age, at 34, I'd never given blood before. And it was mostly because of my culture, stuff that, you know, my aunties, my parents would say about giving blood. But after hearing some of your stories at the gala, I told the man them, yeah, I'm going. So
they tell you your blood type then?
No, they didn't tell me my blood type.
Just took your blood?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well,
They'll probably send it to you in the post.
I don't remember, but I signed
they check
up.
it as well before they take your blood, isn't it? Yeah, because
I'm going to do it
go
every 6 months.
this week.
Yeah, you're doing it as well? Big up you, man.
Amazing.
It's needed.
They do fingerprint tests.
Yeah, they do the test, yeah.
I want to do it, but I feel like obviously for me, like where I am mentally, is things that I'm dealing with internally that I'm not there yet.
Okay.
So that's why. But when I get to that,
Yeah, please don't give unwanted blood.
Huh?
Don't
No.
We need your spirit to fully want to give this blood,
when I
please.
get to that,
Yeah, I'm joking.
I will definitely.
No, we will.
Good. And I think that's important to share because it's easy for us to kind of just be preaching like, give us blood. But everyone has their own experiences and way to process things. So, you know, in time.
In time, yeah. I'm going to be doing it, man. And hopefully you'll get there too. But I think it's important for everyone that's watching, if you could just go, man, go and donate. It didn't hurt. Takes about an hour of your time.
How many gallons?
And you'll say,
I know you have a lot.
You know me, I have a lot to give, but Nange. You know I'm very generous. But no, what was the statistic? How many pints could save a life? I can't remember now.
1 pint can save 3 lives.
1 pint can save 3 lives. Look at that. So guys, please go and register to give blood wherever you are. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, everybody needs it. Please go and register. Do you want to plug your book, your podcast, your charity, everything? I want you to tell them everything about you guys.
Children's books are called My Friend Jen. We've got a website, myfriendjen.co.uk. It's also a charity, so we do a lot of events, and we also have a number of educational resources, one being a YouTube series called Conversations with Jen. Another one is a podcast called Let's Talk About Sickle Cell. And yes, I'm in the process of registering a charity in Jamaica as well, so we can continue the good work across the water.
Praise God. God bless.
Amazing.
Sorry, my bad.
So I'm in the process of starting my charity, Hidden Pain Society. We have Instagram. So what we aim to do is go into schools, prisons, corporate organizations and places of worship to speak about sickle cell and blood donation. This morning I actually went to Telegraph. They invited me to their headquarters to do a workshop, which was great. So that's what I plan to do, is to get it in the faces of people that I don't really know about, especially in corporate places, in schools, all of that stuff, because you have to be 17 years old to donate blood. So getting into the mind of young people already what sickle cell is about, so that they know, wow, when I hit 17, I can go and donate blood. It's great. And I do music as well. In 2019, I released a song called Hidden Pain with the NHS. If you go on YouTube, type Astar Hidden Pain, you could check out the video.
Come on.
Just get the YouTube views up and the streams up.
Let's do it. Generational wealth.
You could follow me, Astar Music UK, on all platforms.
Yay.
Proud of us.
No, I'm proud of you guys. The fact that you've not let sickle cell stop you from achieving your dreams, and you still want to help everybody else. God will bless you people. But no.
Amen.
Any last words, boys, of this wonderful, profound
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yes.
I've been inspired.
No, thank you for coming.
No, I'm just glad. I'm glad to have you guys here, because I know we spoke about having you guys on. We've been looking forward to this episode and having this conversation. So I'm just glad that we're able to get you guys and share your story, and hopefully I pray that, you know, people get inspired by this, and again, people that do have sickle cell, they know that they're not alone. And people know what to start doing now. And also people that, you know, people that don't have sickle cell know what they can do to also help as well. So I'm really happy that we're having this conversation.
100%.
And you guys come on our platform to share this. We appreciate you guys.
And you guys are like family now, so anything you lot need, obviously, from us in terms
We here.
of pushing out.
Thank
Want to
you.
come back, discuss whatever, anything. This is your home now, guys.
Thank you. I feel like a celebrity. You lot have had some big dons on this couch.
I know, innit? As I was doing my research, I was like, is it?
This is what we started this for.
I saw the owner of... What's the drink called? The owner of... Is it...
That's
Bel-Air.
That's what we're talking about. This is the owner, Bumble.
The Bumble.
Bumble, yeah, he's one of Bel-Air, Brett Berish, isn't it?
Listen,
That's what you're talking about.
I'm sitting like... among some kings right here. It's a privilege. Honestly, thank you guys. Honestly,
thank you guys for coming,
coming.
man. Honestly,
This is why we do it.
Exactly.
To obviously
raise
pass
awareness.
that knowledge to
Yes.
people that
Sukali?
you know what I'm saying?
Closing words, please, Mr. Sukali.
Please, man, if you're watching, just go and give blood. That's my only. I don't want you to. If you forget everything else,
Fact.
go and give blood. Honestly,
Yeah.
and that's that. Thank you for watching. Make sure you comment, subscribe, share, and like. Till next time.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the In My Opinion podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, peace.